The desert doesn't give up its secrets easily, but when it does, you wish it hadn't. Dr. Evelyn Cross knew this better than anyone. The ancient burial site was supposed to be just another excavation, another mystery to unravel. But the moment her team uncovered that thing, the sarcophagus that breathed, the rules changed. Now, something is hunting them. Something that laughs at bullets, vanishes like smoke, and whispers in Evelyn's mind with a voice that isn't human. Worst of all, it's not alone, and the mark burning on her wrist isn't just a warning. It's an invitation. The question is, for what? Please wait. Before we start, tap that card in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button right now. Hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Also, you can check the Alien Paradox playlist for more exciting stories. There's a question hidden in the pinned comment below. Crack the code by watching the complete story and answer the question. Alright, let's dive into the story. The desert wind howled like a restless spirit, kicking up swirls of sand that stung any exposed skin. Dr. Evelyn Cross adjusted the sleek, form-fitting tactical suit that clung to her athletic frame, the high-tech fabric designed to regulate temperature, but doing little to ease the tension coiling in her muscles. She wiped a gloved hand across her forehead, smearing dust and sweat as she squinted at the anomaly her team had spent weeks tracking. "Tell me we're not hallucinating, Jace," she muttered, her voice barely audible over the wind. Beside her, Jace Rivera, tall, broad-shouldered, with a perpetual smirk that made him look like he knew a secret, chuckled and crouched down, brushing sand off the ancient stone slab they'd uncovered. Unless we're sharing the same delusion, those markings are real, and they're definitely not Navajo. Evelyn knelt beside him, her fingers tracing the strange, angular symbols carved deep into the rock. The grooves felt unnaturally smooth, as if melted rather than chiseled. A shiver ran down her spine despite the desert heat. This isn't just some old Native American burial site. This is something else. Jace whistled low. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" "Depends. Are you thinking we should call this in before we end up on the wrong end of a government black site?" He grinned. "Nah, I'm thinking we crack it open and see what's inside." Evelyn shot him a glare. "You've seen way too many bad horror movies." "And yet," he said, tapping the slab with his knuckles, "here we are, standing over a possible alien tomb. Tell me you're not curious." She exhaled sharply. Of course, she was curious. That's why she led excavations like this, chasing myths, uncovering truths buried by time. But something about this site felt wrong. The air was too still. The sand didn't shift right. Before she could answer, the ground beneath them trembled. Evelyn's head snapped up. "Earthquake." Jace's smirk vanished. "Not unless earthquakes hiss." A deep, guttural sound vibrated through the earth, more organic than geological. The sand around the slab began to sink, grains sliding inward like an invisible drain had opened beneath them. Evelyn scrambled back, heart pounding. "Move! Now!" The team barely had time to react before the earth split open with a sound like tearing flesh. A jagged fissure yawned wide, exhaling a gust of stale, metallic air that made Evelyn's stomach twist. Jace grabbed a flare from his pack and struck it, the sudden crimson glow illuminating the gaping hole. The light revealed a cavernous chamber below, its walls lined with thick, vein-like strands of an unknown mineral, pulsing faintly as if alive. And in the center, a sarcophagus. Not stone, not metal, something organic. Its surface shimmered like wet obsidian, shifting slightly, as if breathing. Evelyn's mouth went dry. "We need to call this in. Now." Jace, ever the reckless one, leaned closer. "Or we could—" The sarcophagus cracked open. A hand, skeletal but shimmering with unnatural energy, shot out, gripping the edge. Then the thing inside rose, and it looked right at her. The skeletal hand gripped the edge of the sarcophagus with a sound like cracking ice, its elongated fingers flexing as if testing the air for the first time in centuries. Evelyn stumbled back, her boots kicking up dust as her pulse hammered in her throat. The flare's crimson light flickered across the creature's emaciated frame. Too tall, too thin, its skin stretched tight over bones that seemed to shift under the surface. Jace grabbed her arm, his grip bruising. "Tell me you're seeing this." Evelyn swallowed hard. "Oh, I'm seeing it." The creature's head tilted at their voices, hollow eye sockets fixing on them. Then its jaw unhinged, stretching wider than any human mouth could, and a sound poured out. Not a scream, not a growl, but something between radio static and a dying animal's gasp. Evelyn's earpiece crackled to life, their tech specialist, Mei Chun, shouting from the surface camp. "Guys, what the hell is happening down there? Our scanners just went nuts." Jace fumbled for his radio. "May, we need extraction. Now." "No time for pretty words, Rivera," Evelyn snapped, shoving him toward the rope line. "Climb." The creature lunged. It moved like a liquid shadow, one moment at the sarcophagus, the next halfway across the chamber. Evelyn barely yanked Jace out of the way as its clawed fingers raked the air where his head had been. Jace cursed, scrambling for his sidearm. "Okay, new plan, shoot it." He emptied his clip into the thing's chest. The bullets hit with wet thuds, dark fluid oozing from the wounds, but the creature didn't even stagger. The hole sealed shut before their eyes, the skin knitting back together like melting wax. Evelyn's stomach dropped. "That's not possible." "Neither is that." Jace pointed. The creature's form shimmered, its outline blurring for a split second before it vanished, only to reappear right in front of May's drone hovering near the cavern ceiling. With a grotesque snap of its jaws, it tore the machine from the air, metal crunching between teeth that suddenly looked far too sharp. Static screamed through their comms. May's voice turned shrill. "It just took out my drone with its face." "What kind of ancient alien crap did you dig up?" Evelyn grabbed the rope, hauling herself up as the creature's head swiveled back toward them. The kind that laughs at bullets, apparently. Jace climbed beside her, his breath ragged. "So what, we just run? You got a better idea?" Below them, the creature crouched, then sprang upward in a blur of limbs, its fingers brushing Jace's boot before he jerked out of reach. May's voice crackled again. "I'm rerouting power to the perimeter fence. If you don't get your asses up here in 10 seconds, I'm frying everything in that hole." Evelyn's arms burned as she climbed faster. "You'd barbecue us too. Then move." The rope trembled as the creature leapt again, this time catching hold just below Jace. Its weight made the line groan ominously. Jace kicked at its grasping hands. "Oh, come on, don't be that guy." Evelyn gritted her teeth and pulled her knife, slashing at the rope above the creature's grip. The fibers parted with a snap, and the thing fell back into the darkness with a shriek that didn't sound entirely human, or entirely angry, almost amused. As they tumbled over the edge on a solid ground, May slammed her fist on a console. High-voltage currents surged through the excavation site below, lighting up the cavern in blue-white flashes. For 3 long seconds, nothing moved in the pit. Then the power died, and from the darkness came the sound of something climbing. Jace stared at Evelyn, his face pale under the desert sun. "We are so fired." Evelyn grabbed his vest, dragging him toward the waiting jeep. "Worse, we're bait." The engine roared to life as the first skeletal fingers emerged from the pit, curling over the edge like a spider testing its web. The jeep's tires spat gravel as Evelyn slammed the accelerator, the vehicle lurching forward just as the creature hauled itself fully onto the desert floor. In the rearview mirror, she saw it stand at its full, unnatural height, taller than any man, limbs too long, its silhouette warping the air around it like a heat mirage. May clung to the roll bar in the back seat, her dark ponytail whipping in the wind as she shouted over the engine's roar. "What the hell is that thing? Some kind of mummy-zombie hybrid." Jace reloading his sidearm with shaking hands, barked a laugh. Yeah, one that regenerates and teleports. Just our luck. Evelyn's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. It's not a mummy. That burial site wasn't Egyptian. It was a prison. The words hung in the air like a guillotine's blade. A thud rocked the Jeep. Mai screamed. It's on the roof. Claws punched through the metal like it was paper, shredding the canvas top. Evelyn swerved violently, trying to throw it off, but the creature held on, its elongated fingers curling around the edges of the hole it had made. A grotesque face lowered into view, its hollow eyes locking onto Evelyn's. You have disturbed the rest of the Devourers. The voice wasn't sound. It was inside her skull, oily and cold, slithering through her thoughts. Evelyn gasped, the Jeep veering dangerously close to a rock outcropping. Jace grabbed the wheel, steadying them. Evie, talk to me. She shook her head, the creature's voice still echoing in her mind. It spoke to me. Jace didn't hesitate. He leaned out the window and fired upward. The bullet tore through the creature's cheek, black fluid spraying, but it didn't let go. Instead, its wound stretched, the flesh reforming around the bullet before spitting it out with a wet plink onto the dashboard. May's eyes widened. Okay, new plan. Faster plan. Evelyn stomped the gas, the Jeep lurching forward as the desert blurred around them. The creature's grip tightened, its body slithering further into the vehicle like smoke pouring through a crack. Jace cursed. It's coming inside. The creature's torso melted, bones and flesh liquefying as it poured through the hole, reforming in the cramped back seat beside May. She shrieked, scrambling away, but there was nowhere to go. Evelyn made a split-second decision. Hold on. She yanked the wheel hard, sending the Jeep into a controlled spin. The centrifugal force flung the half-formed creature sideways, right into Jace's waiting boot. He kicked with all his strength, sending the thing tumbling out of the torn roof and onto the sand behind them. May didn't waste a second. She grabbed a flare from her pack, lit it with her teeth, and hurled it at the creature. The crimson flame erupted at its feet, the creature recoiling, not in pain, but in what looked like curiosity. Jace panted. Did we just distract it with a shiny? Evelyn didn't slow down. Keep driving. We need to get to the highway, find people, weapons, anything. But as she checked the mirror again, the creature wasn't chasing them. It was gone. A shadow moved beside the Jeep. Evelyn barely had time to scream before the creature reformed in the passenger seat beside her, its bone-white fingers closing around her wrist. This time, the voice in her head wasn't just words. It was a promise. You will lead us to the others. Then, with a sound like tearing fabric, the creature vanished, leaving behind only a searing pain in Evelyn's arm. She yanked up her sleeve, revealing a glowing symbol burned into her skin, the same mark from the burial site. Jace ripped open the glove compartment, tossing a first aid kit into May's lap. See if you can clean that thing off her. May hesitated, her fingers hovering over Evelyn's wrist. This isn't a wound, Jace. It's branded into her skin. Evelyn clenched her jaw. It's a tracker. That thing marked me. The radio crackled again, Marcus's voice sharp with urgency. Evelyn, status report. Now. She snatched the receiver, her voice low and furious. Oh, now you want to talk? Where the hell were you when we radioed for backup an hour ago? A pause. Then Marcus's tone turned icy. Because we lost 6 men the last time that thing woke up. The words hit like a punch to the gut. Evelyn exchanged a glance with Jace. Last time, static hissed before Marcus continued. Meet me at grid point Sierra 7. And Cross, don't let it touch you again. The radio went dead. My swallowed heart. Okay, so your ex is conveniently an expert on nightmare creatures. That's not terrifying at all. Jace rubbed his temples. Let me guess, Black Ops cover-up? Secret government experiment gone wrong. Evelyn shoved open the Jeep door, the desert air thick with tension. Worse, they knew it was down there. A gust of wind sent dust swirling around their feet. Then silence. Too quiet. No krikits, no rustlin. Just the oppressive weight of being watched. Jace's hand drifted to his sidearm. We should move. A click echoed from the shadows. Evelyn froze as red laser dots danced across her chest. From the darkness, figures emerged, soldiers in tactical gear, rifles trained on them. A voice barked from behind floodlights. Hand where we can see them. May slowly raised her arms. Oh good. More friends. Jace muttered under his breath. Worst day ever. Evelyn kept her eyes locked on the shadows beyond the soldiers. You idiots shouldn't be pointing guns at us. As if on cue, one of the soldiers screamed. Something yanked him into the darkness. His rifle clattered to the ground, followed by a wet, tearing sound. The remaining soldiers spun, their flashlights cutting through the night, revealing the creature perched on a gas station roof. The missing man's body dangling from its jaws like a rag doll. Jace grabbed Evelyn's arm. Now will be a great time to run. They bolted for the jeep as gunfire erupted behind them. Bullets tore through the creature, but it barely flinched, discarding the soldier's corpse before leaping onto the next target. May fumbled with the keys. Why isn't it chasing us? Evelyn glanced at her wrist. The symbol glowed brighter. Because it doesn't need to. The creature's head snapped toward her, and it smiled. Then it vanished. The soldiers' screams cut off one by one. Jace cursed, slamming the jeep into gear. It's playing with us. Evelyn's stomach twisted. No, it was hurting them. Straight to Marcus. And whatever waited at Sierra 7. The jeep roared through the desert night, headlights cutting a shaky path through the darkness. Evelyn kept one hand clamped over the pulsing mark on her wrist, as if she could smother its glow through sheer force. It didn't work. The symbol burned hotter with every mile closer to Sierra 7. Jace white-knuckled the steering wheel, his eyes flicking between the rearview mirror and the empty road ahead. So let me get this straight. Your ex-husband knew about this thing, buried it, and now we're driving straight to him like good little lambs to slaughter? May leaned between the seats, her fingers flying over a stolen military tablet. Worse, Sierra 7 isn't a rendezvous point. It's a decommissioned bioweapons facility. And guess what was developed there in the 80s? Evelyn's stomach dropped. They made that thing. A burst of static screeched from the radio before Marcus's voice returned, strained. Evelyn, change your plans. Don't come to Sierra 7. The transmission cut off with a scream that wasn't human. The jeep swerved as Jace flinched. What the hell was that? Evelyn grabbed the radio. Marcus? Marcus. Only silence answered. Majesteblet binked. A security feed flickered to life. Grainy footage of a concrete bunker. Shadows moved unnaturally across the walls. Then the camera caught it, the creature, but different now. Bulkier, more humanoid, and at its feet. Jace gagged. Are those bodies wearing tactical gear? Evelyn's breath caught. One of the corpses wore Marcus's insignia. It's evolving. May zoomed in on the creature's back. Not evolving. Molting. The footage showed blackened husks sloughing off the creature like snake skin, revealing gleaming new flesh beneath. With each shed, it stood taller. More defined. Jace punched the dashboard. Great. So we're dealing with Super Mutant version 2.0 now. Evelyn's mark flared suddenly, sending white-hot pain up her arm. She bit back a scream as visions flooded her mind. A cavern deep below Sierra 7. Rows upon rows of organic sarcophagi, their surfaces breathing. The devourers sleep no longer. The creature's voice in her head was clearer now. Hungrier. May grabbed her shoulders. Evelyn, snap out of it. She gasped back to reality, the jeep's interior swimming into focus. It's not alone. There are more. Hundreds more. Jace's face went grim. Then we blow Sierra 7 to hell before they wake up. May shook her head. With what? We've got 2 grenades, and a shadow passed over the moon. The jeep's roof dented inward with a metallic crunch. Claws punched through the ceiling, missing May's face by inches. Jace swerved violently, sending the vehicle into a skid. The creature held on, its new muscular arms ripping the roof open like tinfoil. This time, its face was almost human, if humans had too many teeth and eyes that reflected light like a cat's. It spoke aloud, its voice a grotesque parody of Marcus's. "You let me home." Evelyn didn't hesitate. She grabbed a grenade, pulled the pin, and threw it straight up. The explosion lit up the night. When the smoke cleared, the road behind them was empty. Jace stared at her. "You blew up our Jeep." Evelyn checker mark. Still glowing. Still burning. Didn't kill it, though. May pointed ahead with a trembling hand. The gates of Sierra 7 loomed in the distance, half collapsed and eerily silent. The creature wanted them to go in, and Evelyn knew with cold certainty they had no choice. The ruins of Sierra 7 loomed before them like a graveyard of forgotten nightmares. The chain-link fence had been torn apart from the inside, the twisted metal glistening with something dark and wet. Evelyn stepped over the wreckage, her boots crunching on broken glass. The mark on her wrist pulsed in time with her racing heartbeat, a sickening metronome counting down to something terrible. Jace picked up a discarded assault rifle, checking the magazine. Full clip. These guys didn't even get a shot off. May shone her flashlight across the compound. The beam caught dozens of bullet holes in the walls, all fired outward. They weren't trying to keep something out. They were trying to keep it in. A low, guttural sound echoed from the facility's gaping entrance. Not a growl, a laugh. Evelyn tightened her grip on her pistol. "Stay close, and don't touch anything that looks like alien egg sacs." Jace pointed his rifle at the ceiling, where bulbous organic pods hung like grotesque fruit. They pulsed faintly, veins of bioluminescent fluid threading through their translucent skins. May gagged. "Oh God, I can see things moving inside them." The ground trembled. Somewhere deep below, something stirred. Evelyn's mark flared white-hot, sending jagged pain up her arm. Visions flooded her mind again. Endless corridors, a central chamber, rows upon rows of sarcophagi just beginning to crack open. "You will witness the rebirth." The creature's voice slithered through her thoughts, smug and hungry. Jace grabbed her shoulder. "Evie, you're zoning out again." She blinked back to reality, sweat dripping down her temples. "Basement level. That's where they're keeping them. We need to move now." They descended through the ruined facility, each level darker than the last. The walls here weren't concrete. They were grown, organic tendrils weaving through the structure like malignant ivy. May's breath came in short gasps. This isn't a facility anymore. It's a hive. A screech of metal echoed from below. Then another, and another. Jace cocked his rifle. "Tell me that's just the wind." Evelyn knew better. They're waking up. They reached the final stairwell, the door torn off its hinges. Beyond it stretched a cavernous chamber, its curved walls lined with hundreds of pulsating sarcophagi. Most were still sealed, but not all. At the center of the room stood it. The creature, now nearly 7 feet tall, its body sleek and armored like a predator evolved to perfection. Around it, a dozen other sarcophagi stood open, their occupants twitching as they took their first breaths in centuries. The lead creature turned, its too many teeth glinting in the dim light. "Welcome home, little guide." Evelyn's blood ran cold. The mark hadn't just been a tracker. She'd been lured here, to open the door for the rest. Jace raised his rifle. "Well, this sucks." May grabbed the last grenade. On 3, Evelyn stared at the awakening army. Bullets wouldn't stop them. Neither would explosions. But the creature's words echoed in her mind. "You will witness the rebirth." A terrible idea took shape. She grabbed May's wrist before she could pull the pin. "No, we need to contain them." Jace blinked. With what? Harsh language. Evelyn's eyes locked onto the facility's massive support columns. With 6 million tons of collapsing mountain. The creature hissed, suddenly understanding. It lunged, just as Evelyn fired her pistol at the ceiling. The bullet struck a glowing weak spot in the organic growths. The entire chamber shuddered. Above them, the mountain began to fall. The world exploded into chaos as the mountain came crashing down. Chunks of rock and twisted metal rained from above, shaking the chamber like a toy in a giant's fist. Evelyn ducked as a slab of concrete shattered inches from her, dust filling her lungs. Jace grabbed her arm, dragging her toward the stairwell. Move, move, move. May sprinted ahead, her flashlight beam bouncing wildly. Behind them, the creature shrieked, not in pain, but in rage. The sound vibrated through Evelyn's bones, worse than the collapsing mountain. They barely made it to the stairs before the ceiling behind them collapsed completely, sealing the chamber under tons of rubble. The shockwave sent them tumbling onto the steps, coughing and gasping. Jace rolled onto his back, grinning despite the blood trickling from his temple. Damn Cross. Remind me never to piss you off. May shined her light back at the wreckage. Do you think that actually killed them? Evelyn's wrist burned. The mark still pulsed. She knew the answer before the first cracks appeared in the rubble. A single clawed hand punched through the debris, then another. The creature's hiss slithered through the dust-filled air, closer than it should have been. Jace scrambled to his feet. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Evelyn grabbed his arm. Run. They bolted up the stairs, the creature's enraged screams echoing behind them. The facility shook around them, more of the structure collapsing as they fled. By the time they burst out into the night air, half the complex had caved in. Gunfire erupted around them. Soldiers in full hazmat gear surrounded the ruins, their weapons trained on the entrance. A familiar voice barked orders. Colonel Marcus Kane stood at the center of the chaos, bloodied but alive. Evelyn's breath caught. You're not dead. Marcus didn't lower his weapon. Takes more than a devourer to kill me. His eyes flicked her wrist. But you're not out of the woods yet. The ground trembled again. The soldiers tensed, fingers on triggers. Then silence. Too quiet. Heart. Did we win? A single, echoing thud came from deep below. Then another. And another. The mark on Evelyn's wrist flared brighter than ever. The pain so intense, she nearly screamed. The visions returned. Darkness shifting. Something massive stirring beneath the earth. Marcus's face went pale. Oh God, it wasn't just them. There's something else down there. Evelyn knew. The devourers weren't the apex predators. They were the sacrifices. The ground split open. A hand the size of a car clawed its way free, followed by a shape so vast it blotted out the stars. Jace backed up slowly. Okay, now we run. Marcus grabbed Evelyn's arm. The mark, it's tied to that thing. You're the only one who can stop it. She met his gaze, the truth settling in her chest like ice. The creature hadn't marked her as a guide. It had marked her as a vessel. As the colossal entity rose from the ruins, Evelyn made her choice. She raised her pistol, not at the monster, but at her wrist. Jace's eyes widened. Evelyn, no. The gunshot echoed across the desert. The mark shattered like glass, dark energy spilling from a wound. The creature howled, its form unraveling as the connection between them snapped. The last thing Evelyn saw before the world went black was the massive entity crumbling to dust, its prison resealed. When she woke, dawn was breaking over the silent ruins. Marcus knelt beside her, his voice barely a whisper. It's over. But as Evelyn stared at the faint scar on her wrist, she knew the truth. Some doors once opened could never fully close. And somewhere deep below, in the dark, something waited. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.